Right, so these are the live visuals we're beaming to you from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. As expected, 15-minute adjournment to allow, I suppose, for the witness and the commissioners to once again find their bearings in some ways. The witness we've been hearing from is Motsepe. She, of course, is a crime investigator within the SABC. In fact, she's with the SABC Serious and Violent Crimes Division, where she kind of enters the narrative as we try to get to the bottom of these allegations of interference is around those 121 dockets from the Political Killings Task Team. This takes us all the way back, of course, to Ntanta Mkhwanazi's bombshell briefing back in July, where amongst a long catalogue of things that he took issue with is the removal of these dockets from this unit, which was brought to the SABC headquarters in Pretoria. Ntanta Mkhwanazi has suggested that this was all in an effort to try stifle those investigations and protect these politically connected individuals. Of course, we've heard from several other people, both at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee and from this inquiry, suggesting something else, something to the effect of, we needed these dockets to look into them because the Political Killings Task Team was, in fact, being shut down. What Mary Motsepe has come out to say is that she was informed in an informal meeting by Shadrack Sibiya that they had brought these dockets for some kind of auditing process. In fact, let's take you back to that moment where she details how she learned about these dockets for the first time. Take a listen.
I think it was sometime in March. Myself and General Sintumoli, we were from General Sibiya's office. It was an informal meeting. When we were about to go out in the entrance, it's an entrance sort of is a security entrance. That's when General Sintumoli asked me if we had heard that the PKTT is disbanded. Then I said, I'm not aware. Then he said, all those dockets, they are coming to you. Then I said, it's fine because political killing falls within my mandate. And then she said that they are still busy with the discussion thereof. I will be informed later.
So that's how she found out about these dockets, we're told, and that's going to raise all manner of questions because what she subsequently said, Mary Motsepe, is that there was no formal meeting, in fact, to inform her about what is meant to take place with these dockets and what the way forward looks like. She goes on to explain that part of the job she had to do was to devise some kind of plan about what to do next, including the possibility of picking up some of these cases as envisioned by the Political Killings Task Team. Now, this has raised all manner of questions, like I mentioned. In fact, at some point, the chairperson of the inquiry asked Mary Motsepe why it was important for these dockets to come all the way from KZN to Pretoria just for a simple auditing process. Let's take you back to that exchange. Take a listen.
When they collected the docket on the 28th, already they discussed it there. Brigadier Khupoditata, General Sintumoli and the other officers, that actually this docket, they are only here for auditing because they audited them whilst they like the counting. They counted from 1 and then the number was 118. And then actually they were here for auditing so that General Sintumoli as a divisional commissioner, she's going to hand them back to KZN. So actually the docket came to our office on the 28th of March.
So meaning even as they arrived, the idea was for them immediately to go back as soon as the auditing process had been finalized.
Yes, but General Sintumoli was supposed to make arrangement first with General Mkhwanazi. That's when myself now, I called the General. I had Brigadier Khupoditata.
No, I just wanted to understand the purpose for them coming to head office.
Yes.
So they are coming up purely to be audited, meaning that as soon as that auditing process had been finalized, they would go back.
Yes.
So that's your understanding.
Yes, Commissioner.
Why could the auditing process not take place in KZN? Why did the dockets have to come up to head office for that simple process?
Commissioners, really, I don't know. Maybe General Sintumoli, when she comes to testify, if she will come to testify, maybe she will explain the whole process. But that's what I heard from Brigadier Khupoditata, because I was never part of the previous meetings which led to the disbandment. So maybe she can explain that, why they were brought here, audited, and again back to KZN.
All right, of course, the name of General Sentimula has come up before. We were told that that was the person who was given the instruction to bring these dockets to Pretoria. As you can see, Kenny Mapanga standing by inside the Bridget Mabandla Justice College and joins us now live. And Kenny, we've been listening to the testimony of Mary Motsepe, and she struggled in some instances to really explain what the purpose really was of bringing these dockets to Pretoria, if in fact the objective was just for them to be audited.
Indeed. Good morning to you, Ayanda, once again, and to the viewers. And I think that is going to be critical information because remember, in the evidence in chief of Lieutenant General Kwanazi, we heard that the moving of those dockets may have been for an alleged ulterior purpose or to ensure that those cases, which, mind you, were still quite active at the time that they were removed from KZN to the Pretoria headquarters, were still being worked on by this PKTT. And they were just sitting there in Pretoria stagnant, not moving, not finding any advancements in the various investigations that were taking place. And now we're hearing from Motsepe that the reason that she was given, and it's quite interesting, Ayanda, that she wasn't forthcoming about getting further explanations or qualifications as to what the process was that they were undertaking. It seems that she was just allegedly given instructions and she understood it to mean that these dockets were now moving there. But there's questions arising that when the dockets came in March and they were supposed to go back on the 28th of March and they didn't go back, the reason that she was given is that they're now going to fall under murder and robbery. That is the PKTT that has since been disbanded, the cases of the PKTT, and that the quote-unquote ball was in her court, meaning that her investigators would now have to come in and take over those investigations. I think the first process she speaks of is an inspection that was going to take place, and then they were going to go forth with those particular dockets. But the difficulty with the Commission's bench about that particular evidence is that a lot of these cases that were part of the dockets that were moved were at an advanced stage. So you get the Commission asking that how you're going to bring in new detectives to go into these particular matters that were already at an advanced stage, and there was a particular team that was designed to deal with this very unique kind of crime that was taking place in the KZN province. But we didn't get a clear answer with respect to that. But she is emphasizing that it's not only this particular team that can investigate these kinds of cases, that across all regions or across all provinces, you do get instances where those detectives will have to investigate those political killings. And while she agrees that the disbandment of the PKTT should not have taken place in the manner that it did, i.e. without consultation, she does go on to emphasize that it's not only the PKTT that was a successful team or unit within the South African Police Services, that kind of success extended to many different units within the police. But we'll continue to hear that evidence with respect to this issue of the moving of the dockets as the Commission really tries to get to the heart of what was the true motivation or the true reason behind moving those dockets from KZN to Pretoria, seemingly without the knowledge of the very PKTT heads that are involved in it, and then allowing those cases or those dockets to sit stagnant in Pretoria. All that and more when the witness returns at 11:15.
Before we let you go, Kenny, the question has also come out about at which stage a unit like the PKTT would be disbanded. It was interesting to hear from this witness suggesting that perhaps they should have considered waiting for this year's or next year's local government elections to wrap up. All right, it's a pity. It seems we've lost our connection to Kenny Mapanga there, but that's one of the issues, for example, that's come up, because you might remember even in Parliament during that ad hoc committee process, there had been questions about whether or not a unit like the PKTT can exist indefinitely. We were told that as part of behind-the-scenes discussions, Minister Senzo Mkhunu said that it was time to do away with this unit because the issue of political killings is no longer as prevalent as it was, say, before 1994. Many people, of course, have pushed back against that assertion, pointing to a number of instances where politicians were killed, allegedly or purportedly linked to their jobs. Sindiso Makaka is more of the more high-profile cases. And so in this case, we hear Mary Motsepe saying that, at least from her perspective, from her vantage point, given her own experience, she would have considered keeping the political killings task team going and maybe only reassessing its usefulness after the local government elections next year, because we know that typically places like KwaZulu-Natal will see an uptick in political related killings towards an election. That's certainly what the data suggests to us since our democratic dispensation. So we'll see whether or not that finds any kind of resonance with the commissioners and where it takes this inquiry. As soon as it resumes at around 11:15, we'll certainly take you back to the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. In the interim, more of the day's top stories in just a moment.